Even if you've been to Universal Studios Hollywood before, there's definitely some new things you need to know about, especially because of the addition of Super Nintendo World. I drove all the way from San Diego up to LA, and I definitely missed out on some research when it came to that part of the park. But no worries, that's why I'm making this video, so I can help you plan the perfect trip to Universal Studios. If going to Super Nintendo World is a priority for you, definitely get the early access pass because this is really the only way that you'll be guaranteed a visit to that area. You may also need to make timed entry reservations, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. The perfect way to start off your morning and get a good introduction to the park is going on the studio tour. You'll get to explore so many cool sets that were used in many films and TV shows. This studio tour really takes you behind the scenes and shows you how all of that movie magic is actually made. You'll also be going through the actual lot, which has a lot of live sets and studios. And there's definitely some actors, producers, and writers all around the lot, and you might be lucky enough to see one. What we're seeing right here is the actual set from The Good Place. It's one of my favorite shows, so that was definitely surprising to be able to see that in real life. And I know people feel pretty divided on this part, but this is honestly one of the best parts of the studio tour. You're seeing Jaws here. But yeah, if you have some mechanophobia or you're just afraid of sharks, I get why you wouldn't like this part. Going by each set just shows you how intricate and detailed they are. And honestly, it just makes you appreciate all the time, effort, and planning that went into all this. It was cool seeing how a lot of the structures and houses were fake, just as you see here. They all look like complete and normal structures, but then when you look in the back, you realize that there's no interior. And here we're entering a popular neighborhood that's actually been used in a lot of movies and TV shows. If you watch the show Never Have I Ever on Netflix, you'll probably recognize this house. It's actually Davy's house. And this whole neighborhood is actually from that show as well. Then we have some famous cars and of course the Bates Motel. I honestly just love the interactions between the studio tour guides and the actual actors. The tour guides are just absolutely amazing because they explain the history of each set in incredible detail. Just look at how real that destroyed city and that plane look. There's also various parts of the studio tour like this Fast and Furious one where you'll be wearing 3D glasses and you'll honestly feel like you're part of this scene. The tour bus actually connects onto some tracks and will move and slide around. Just look at this scene here. After the studio tour is over, go up one level and head over to the Simpsons area. If you're hungry, definitely get either a Krusty Burger or go to Cletus's Chicken Shack. They have so many good burgers and chicken-based items on their menu, but for now I just got a Caesar salad. And my friend here got some delicious chicken strips and french fries. After lunch, since it's good to wait a little bit before going on another ride, I suggest just walking around the stores. There's so many cute plushies and clothing items, I honestly just wanted to buy everything in the store. And this is a great tip to save a lot of time if you don't want to wait in line at Lard Lad Donuts because there is an actual store for that. Just head over to Quickie Mart and get one here. And yes, because they sell out so fast, there'll probably be a new batch in there every hour or every couple of hours. And here's what they have available in the shop just in case you want to know before you go. After you're done shopping, get a picture outside with Bart and Homer. Just be careful, Bart does like to play a lot of tricks. Now, start heading over to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Right here, we're passing Lard Lad Donuts and entering the part of the park that has everything you can think of right out of a Harry Potter book. While you're exploring the entrance of this land, let me explain just a few things about both rides. This land has just two rides, the first one being Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, and the second being the Flight of the Hippogriff. These are dramatically different types of rides, so pay attention. The Flight of the Hippogriff is a smaller, shorter, and slower ride. It's also a fully outdoor ride that only lasts about 15 to 30 seconds. If you have a fear of heights or are traveling as a family, this is a good ride for you. However, for all my thrill seekers, you'll probably be pretty disappointed in this ride or even want to skip it. As soon as you get to the part of the park where you see the Hogwarts castle, that's the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey ride. As I think we can all agree, the outside is already so much more exciting. I'll talk about that ride in a minute, but no matter which ride you're going on or if you're just passing through the land, definitely get a butterbeer. At the stand, you'll have two options, being that the butterbeer can either be a soda or a slushie. Now, there definitely are a few hidden gems specifically with the butterbeer. During winter months, they'll actually serve it hot, and you can also try looking for the ice cream version throughout Hogsmeade Village as well as inside the 3 Broomsticks restaurants and Hogshead Pub.
This ride that you see here is the Flight of the Hippogriff, and as you can already tell, it's pretty underwhelming. But onto the objectively better ride, let's go to Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Expect a wait time of at least 50 minutes, but if you do go on a weekend, it'll be much longer. Best time to go to Universal Studios Hollywood is especially at the beginning of the week, like Monday or Tuesday. You'll be faced with the least crowds, but be prepared if you go over the summer, it'll definitely be packed every single day. The line for the ride isn't actually too unbearable since the set and decor is really cool and it really immerses you into the experience. You'll see this giant phoenix and a room full of giant picture frames that are actually moving. You'll also be able to see the offices of Professor Snape and Dumbledore. The line is also interactive and it has a lot of Easter eggs from the movies. As soon as you see these blue windows and this corridor, just know you're almost there. Just walk down a little further and you'll see the sorting hat who will actually talk to you. He'll try to sort you into your own house, and then on the left you'll be able to mount the ride. Keep in mind that the floors do move, so you have to be pretty quick and just watch your step. I think it is a common occurrence for this ride to actually break down. When I went just a couple days ago, the ride actually broke down twice while I was on it, and strangely enough, that happened on my other visit to Universal. So don't be surprised if you're upside down and the ride suddenly stops. Honestly, I was laughing as this happened just because it was in the middle of a funny scene, and they actually have their own voiceovers from Harry Potter, Hermione, and Ron Weasley that actually plays when the ride breaks down. The ride starts off with a couple of screens where you're transported into the world of Hogwarts. You'll be following Harry on his whole journey, and you'll be going through a bunch of interactive scenes. Almost all elements and characters of the books and the movies are incorporated into this ride. You'll get to participate in a Quidditch game, as you can see here, and you'll also see the Whomping Willow. And don't worry, there's plenty of spiders in the Forbidden Forest, along with Dementors. This ride is definitely one of the best ones at Universal, and personally my favorite. So if you have time at the end of the day or before you leave the park, definitely consider going on this one again. After the ride, head back over to the Simpsons area where you'll go on the Simpsons ride. The line for this ride is probably the longest of any ride in the park, so that's probably why there's people throwing coins on that one ledge. As soon as you get to the front of the line, you'll be separated into groups. From there, your group will be escorted into your own room where Krusty the Clown will give you directions on the ride. Essentially, all you need to do is survive Sideshow Bob. From this ride, just walk over 5 minutes to the Despicable Me area. They have a whole water park, and this area is especially good for families. There are two main rides in this area, being the Despicable Me Minion Mayhem and the Secret Life of Pets ride. For the Secret Life of Pets ride, you definitely need to get onto that virtual queue on the Universal Studios app. It'll let you know what time you can actually go on the ride, since it does get pretty busy. If you don't sign up for this queue, there's a good chance you actually won't be able to go on it. The main reason I actually like this part of the park is the Minion Cafe. Just look at this brand new Felonious float. Felonious is actually a new word to me, and ever since I learned it, I can't stop saying it. I guess that float does make you feel a little felonious after. The Minion Mayhem ride is great for families, but other than that, I don't really think it's a good ride. You're in an auditorium with a bunch of other people, and you're watching a screen while your seats move. I think that because you can see everyone else, it kind of takes you out of the experience. From there, head down to the lower lot. You can also see Super Nintendo Worlds from here. Now let's talk about actually getting into this land, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it is pretty difficult. The easiest way is purchasing the $20 addition to your regular Universal Studios pass, which is an early access pass that lets you in 1 hour before the park actually opens. That way, you're first in line to the Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge ride, and you can easily make reservations at Toadstool Cafe. If you don't get this pass, the next option is getting the timed entry reservation. However, successfully getting it and checking the app a bunch of times is pretty tedious and difficult. And mind you, that's only to get inside of the land. That's not for any reservations or to go on the ride. If you actually want to interact with the mini games that are inside of the land, I definitely recommend you buy a power-up band inside a Mario store that's located outside of the actual park and in the City Walk. After that, go on the Jurassic World ride. Again, the line for this ride is also one of the longest ones in the park. During summertime or just hotter months, it doesn't really matter what time you go on this ride, because either way, you'll be able to dry off pretty quickly, and especially if you sit in the back, you probably won't get as wet. This ride is probably one of the most fun rides in the entire park, and you'll see plenty of dinosaurs, especially T-Rexes, and even get sprayed with water by some of them. Right next door to the Jurassic World ride is the Mummy ride. If you've been on the Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland, it's extremely similar. On the ride, you'll see plenty of fireballs, beetles, and even mummies. For the majority of the ride, you'll be in complete darkness except for a bunch of ghosts that are just trying to scare you. You'll also be going backwards for the last half of the ride. Unless you want to try some of the smaller rides or even try more foods and snacks, which I definitely recommend you do, this will be the end of your trip to Universal Studios Hollywood. Thank you for coming along with me, and I hope you have a great trip. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll be happy to respond. And if you want to learn more about budget travel tips and hacks, or just the best places to visit around the world, consider following along for more. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to check out my site danielabracktravels.com for more travel guides and information.